Okay. All right. Like I said, we before we started filming, we recently on our Patreon discussed our picks for the best comic book live action villain acting performances ever.
Okay.
And we narrowed it down to a top 5.
Okay.
And I'm going to read you this top 5, and I want you to have any questions, any problems, anybody that you think doesn't belong, anybody that we're missing. So here we go. We've got Heath Ledger's Joker, Anthony Starr's Homelander, Colin Farrell's Penguin, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin.
I personally think you're missing Voldemort. You just discussed the Harry Potter-ness of it all. I think Ralph Fiennes is an incredible Voldemort.
Sure.
He actually elicits terror to the scale of the book. The book is like, you can't talk about him. Like, it's the biggest boogeyman, like when you're a kid, especially reading that. And I think that that's such a tall order, and I think Ralph Fiennes lands it, which is really hard. I think for the time, maybe not as much now because we've commodified him, but Darth Vader.
I think the 5 we did was just comic book.
Oh, okay.
But we can definitely add more.
Yeah,
That's why those
comics,
two weren't on there.
Let me narrow it down then.
I think Voldemort is a fair argument.
I think Voldemort's terrifying.
Yeah.
I agree.
I would say top of all time. It's really tricky because he is. I think Vulture is up there, man. I think the way Adrian Toomes is portrayed not only makes him more interesting than some takes in the comics, but it makes the MCU more interesting because it answers a lot of the questions about, like, Tony Stark's a billionaire throwing stuff around, and someone's got to pick up the pieces. And then they use the Green Goblin legacy, making that scene in the car, even with the flash of green on his face, mirroring the Vulture, but also mirroring Green Goblin to comic fans. And then the scene of the daughter reveal is very Goblin coded. And then the Vulture moments where he's like in the long hallway and using just his like speech at Peter stops him cold in time for the Vulture wings. There's so many comic-y moments, but he's also a genuinely interesting character. So I would put Vulture up there.
Yeah, you would.
Me.
Yeah, you would.
I don't think. Yeah, those are all good things. I think the car scene's really, really good.
Incredible,
right?
yeah.
But I don't think that's touching any of the 5 that we mentioned.
No, if we grow this out.
Right.
If we were expanding, I wouldn't replace.
Yeah.
I think Thanos should be.
I said that.
We considered him.
I said that.
Now it's Penguin. It's Heath Ledger's Joker is one of the best. I think Heath Ledger's Joker is the best performance I've ever seen. Period. Hard stop. And I'm so sorry to everyone that studied Meisner and all the acting techniques. I understand that there are the Shakespeares and there are the Brandos and there are those things. But when I look at even The Godfather, I can still see Marlon Brando. When I look at Heath Ledger's Joker, even the scene without the makeup, that flash, the eyes are not Heath Ledger. And there's so much controversy around his passing. And it really sucks that controversy is so much more popular than truth. The reports that came out like 5 days later were that the toxicology reports, he had taken the prescribed amount of medicine from 2 different doctors that were in different countries. So he didn't OD. He literally died because of prescriptions that were prescribed to him. But because of his death, I feel like people see that performance with an asterisk. So it's kind of like No Way Home, where it's like, oh, that movie's great. Wouldn't be blah, blah, blah. I think his death, a lot of people don't give him the credit he deserves because of the horrible trauma around it. But I honestly think Heath Ledger's performance is the greatest performance I've ever seen.
The eyes.
I've
never heard that before. You're right.
Like if you look in past the makeup, when that scene or in any scene in the movie, there is no Heath Ledger there.
It's the eyes.
He's gone. And the fact that he wasn't method between takes, he was talking about his daughter. Do you ask any of the actors? There was such a bubble of controversy that clouded the performance that now when you talk to actors, they're like, no, Heath was Heath between moments. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I love that he was able to be that and then be like, let me talk about Matilda. Like, that's crazy. Right. So Heath Ledger, I think, is the bar that every, not even just villain, but like performance. So Heath for sure. Colin Farrell, I said, was the first performance where I felt like he wasn't as good as Heath. No one is, but it's the first time I've been like, let's have the conversation about that league. Like that level of skill.
That's what sparked the conversation.
Okay, so the Penguin's in there.
We were talking about the
Penguin.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think the Penguin's absolutely in there, and especially like how villainous it landed. Like he's definitely,
obviously.
And you like him still. Like there's some part of you.
Well, yeah, but
I would watch. I'd watch the season 2, and I'd.
Of course I'd watch the season 2.
I'd be so worried about how I'd feel about it. I like him enough that if he did something in season 2, episode 1, I'd be like, well, like I hate that. That's what I mean. Not a lot of this guy's just cheeky. Yeah. Like Oz is so charming that even though those 2 horrible things are the myriad, but the very end, I would still be like,
I mean, there was.
I'll hear about.
I mean, it really blew me away because until the second it was happening, I was like, no. like it hit me over the head so hard. Like his little speech about being family and all that, and then I was like, oh yeah, season 2, we're gonna get buddy cop. No.
And then the layers to that family thing being maybe why he did it, and then you can wonder whether he was gonna do it anyway. The thought of like he realized the weakness because the way he says oh fuck, like there's so much to that performance that is even like I wonder what he thinks versus the writer versus the director versus like the performance is so good. I want to know what everyone's take was because we got all of it.
Yeah, and the whole show, I really like gangster mob type media, like Peaky Blinders, Sons of Anarchy, stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. And we kind of got that feeling in this show. So I was ready to pull for Oz. I love pulling for Jackson, Sons of Anarchy, and Thomas Shelby and everything.
Yeah.
So like the whole time I was thinking that's what they were gonna do, and then they flipped that whole thing on its head, and they're like, no, you're gonna hate this guy. Was really, really interesting. And yeah, his performance in the Batman and then it expanding in this show, and how he deals with his mom and Vic and the accent and the waddle.
Oh, the waddle. Adding the comic
so,
elements slowly but surely, giving him the origin they tried to give Jack Sparrow. Where like every Jack Sparrow movie was like, this is where he got that silly trinket. Like it felt like contrived. Like it felt like they were gonna sell like the compass. Whereas in the Penguin, I was like, oh, the top hat. Like I shouldn't care about a top hat, but I was so invested because they laid it out so slowly.
Yeah.
Let me hear the other 3 real quick.
Yes.
So
we've got Willem Dafoe Green Goblin, Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin, and Anthony Starr Homelander. This is the one I wanted to ask you about next because I haven't seen The Boys. Do you agree with that?
Okay.
Can we answer that? I also want to rank that top 5.
Okay. I would say the only one that's at risk is Homelander, and that's not a bad performance. It just, to me, the other 4 are so confident, and if I was gonna knock one off, that's the only one I'm like, well, would I replace him? Like, and I understand that's hot
For
take.
him, he's top 3
That's,
probably.
I think he's
we'll have
third.
that conversation. Because for me, the other 2, Willem Dafoe played him in 2 very different films that were both authentic to the movie while still being authentic to the character. And that's like an actor's equalizer. That's crazy. Like he was playing the bass in one, the treble in the other. That's bananas. Yeah. So Willem Dafoe, I think, is safe. Kingpin literally was more interesting than Charlie Cox's Daredevil in certain episodes, and then it balanced out. Like he knew how to play those equalizer levels, so he was the protagonist at times. Even when, like, taking someone's head off in a car door, he did the thing the Penguin did in a long form media that was hyper violent. That every punch in that show landed twice because you cared about the fist and the face, on either one of them. When the fist was Kingpin's, you cared about Charlie's face. When the fist was Charlie's, you cared about Vincent's face. Like, you're so invested in both sides of that Vincent's absolutely on there for me. And as I said earlier, the reason I was worried about the multiverse saga was singularly Vincent D'Onofrio because his performance wasn't tonally right. Like, he didn't find the way to make it that tone. Talk Homelander second. I thought of one that I think this is an old man yells at cloud one. And the audience will just be like old man Jandreau. But I think Michael Wincott in The Crow is incredible.
I've got news for you. You're an old man.
Yeah, no. That movie came out before most of the audience was born.
The Crow with
Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Wincott in that movie is so...
Which one was he?
He's the bad guy with the crazy voice with the long hair. He talks like this the whole movie. He's got this incredible presence. He is so... I'm not going to say he replaces anyone. I just want to give an honorable mention. This is just the Coy
He's the one that
mention.
burned the apartment down and...
No, those are the guys that work for him. This
Okay.
is the guy that literally is like with the Asian woman that has the like. He's trying to kill the
is he
crow.
the one that's having sex with his sister?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fascinating choice.
He's weird.
But like he's always so like he's got such a presence, and like I just love that like every time you see him you're like, what's that guy's? Like I want to know his movie, and I think the mark of a good villain is you're like I'd watch the spin-off of that movie.
Yeah.
And Michael Wincott is so good that even in like Nope. He was in Nope like all those years later. I was like, wonder what his character from The Crow would be up to. Like, it left an indelible mark that I think only good villains do. And you care so much about Brandon Lee and The Crow. The fact that you're interested in him at all and you don't just want him to die is fascinating. The fact that he's sleeping with his sister and you're like, how did that happen? Like, those things
not
aren't
explained.
Yeah, you're not
He's
like
just weird and gross and terrible.
That would be the easier decision. Than making him captivating. And so, like, for me, Michael Wincott in The Crow deserves before Iron Man made it cool, The Crow came out and made comic book movies at least marketable. And I think Michael Wincott deserves a little love.
Okay, so
Homelander.
Yeah, go ahead and rank your top 5. So Homelander's at the bottom.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Anthony Starr. And then I'm going to go... It's crazy that Willem Dafoe's here, but Willem Dafoe's 4.
Wow.
Interesting.
And then Vincent D'Onofrio,
Okay.
and then Penguin, and then Heath Ledger's Joker is
Okay.
in another
I'm
sport.
gonna give mine, then you can give yours.
Yeah.
Sure. So starting at the
you got
bottom.
Penguin at 2. That's wild.
Frick. Starting at the bottom, I'm probably gonna go Penguin,
Okay.
then Vincent.
Is Penguin because it's recent and you're trying to, or is it actually like, have you had
try-
time to think about it?
I always try to give myself time to think about it. You know, whenever I come out of a movie and it's like clearly a 10 out of 10, I still give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
to
just
sit
for
with it for a
safety.
year. Yeah. That's what I
That's what he did with Spider-Verse.
Across. I came out of Across. I was like, it's probably a 10 out of 10. I need to just sit with it because I went to the premiere. Like
which is just joy. I've
Yeah.
given, in the history of rating movies, I've got 4,000 or so ratings. I've given 25 films 5 stars, which is 10.
Right.
In the history, like 25 5-star films ever.
I'm very protective.
Into
with
and
my
Across
5
the
out of 5.
Spider-Verse are both 5 stars.
Nice. So
Me too.
Penguin,
I only have 11. But I've seen less movies. Than
We'll compare and contrast.
then Vincent, then I'm going Homelander, then William, then Heath.
Heath's 5?
No, that was reversed.
Oh,
I was starting at 5 like you did. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But my brain just went, Heath was last. That can't be true. So that makes
no.
sense.
You
So
go-
Heath's number
let's
1.
just repeat it. Heath at 1.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe at 2.
And then
Homelander at 3.
Vincent.
Vincent D'Onofrio at 4.
Penguin's your 5th?
and
Interesting. Okay.
Penguin is 5.
Okay.
I got news for you. My number 5 is pretty quickly Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Well, excuse me. My number 5 is Anthony Starr's Homelander. I
you
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
The
it.
Boys. But my number 4 is Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. I don't have him in here without No Way Home. And that was an argument that we had.
Interesting.
I think he's spectacular in No Way Home. I think he's a clear 4 for me. And based on what I've heard about Anthony Starr from him, I think he might be 5. So 5, Anthony Starr, Homelander, I haven't seen it. 4 is Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. I've got 3 is Colin Farrell's Penguin. 2, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin.
Nice.
And number 1 is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Okay, so Homelander.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give my main reason. So the thing that you said about Heath, right? So I'm not necessarily comparing, but the seeing past the eyes and everything. Basically, Vincent does this well too, with his presence and how every second he's on screen he's kind of commanding, and you feel like that is Kingpin. You're not seeing Vincent, you're seeing Kingpin, right? I feel like Anthony does that well, but he just does it a little bit better than Kingpin. And also, to your point, maybe you'll give me this. There are parts I will also say I am halfway through Daredevil season 3.
Okay.
Need to finish it.
That's fair. Good to know.
There are moments, and this is potentially a product of the product itself, not his performance, but you have moments like him in Hawkeye and Echo that I do not think were as strong as any second we've gotten with Homelander. There is no second of Homelander that we've gotten that falls to the level of the Hawkeye and Echo moments with Kingpin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's high. Yeah, the lows are not as low at any point.
Correct.
I would say Homelander, to me, I never ever identified with.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. But I've identified with Kingpin. I've
Yeah.
identified with Penguin. I've identified with Willem Dafoe.
Sure, yeah, I can give you that.
So therefore, to me, a villain is somewhere I'm like, man, if I have, like, it's the Joker thing, one bad day. Like, the whole thing with Batman and the Joker is you're one bad day away from being me. I have felt that I am one bad day away from being a lot of these villains that I would give that to.
So do you think he's too evil?
Yeah, not for like to be well regarded, but for me to have empathy and therefore be like, oh, I feel bad. I don't like that when I'm watching the Penguin. I go like,
Right,
often,
right.
and
Yeah.
that makes me feel like he's a better villain because I can feel nauseous over identifying with him.
Sure, storytelling wise, I think
Kingpin especially.
Yeah. Homelander doesn't have necessarily the relation aspect and they've given him a little bit more
Sure.
with some of his origin in season 4 when he was a kid and stuff like that. But
We know too much.
right, and but I think performance wise, there's not ever been a moment where I was like, that's not Homelander.
Yeah.
like he
And
is,
Anthony Starr being such a different guy is also fascinating.
exactly like
Except
you see him
in
in
some panels
interviews
when he smiles, you're like, fuck, it's Homelander.
Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously he's going to be one of those people that, like, Daniel Radcliffe's always Harry Potter. Like,
Yeah.
he's always going to be Homelander. But, yeah, there's just never been a moment. I always enjoy watching Vincent and some of these other people. Like, every time they're on screen, Colin's Penguin, everything. But there's just never been a moment where Homelander's on screen and I'm not worried what's about to happen or uncomfortable.
I
And
would put
think
Thanos
that's-
over Homelander. Because Thanos, I mean, he started the Thanos was right concept. Like, they literally was
no,
such
it's
an
good.
impactful villain that you're like, But the 405's got a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Like there are moments where, like there are times where
we brought up Thanos on the Patreon episode, and the reason we left him off this list was for 2 reasons, maybe more. If I'm forgetting, you can remind me. CGI, you lose a lot of the performance. I think he gives a great performance with the CGI, but we don't know. It's tough. It's tough But I guess that's
kind of a benefit too, like, right? Like if you're doing that well beyond.
It's not a fair criticism, because I would tell you that Andy Serkis' Caesar is one of my favorite acting performances ever. So maybe I'm full of shit with that one. The reason I had him not in the top 5 clearly is I think Endgame brings him down significantly.
I think Infinity War I put over Endgame, and I know that's controversial.
No, we do too.
No. We prefer Infinity War the movie, and it's not close, but like his performance in Endgame is so one note.
Yeah.
It's just big bad guy. So it's like your argument for Kingpin, where you have the moments in Hawkeye and Echo that bring that performance below a Homelander. His performance in Endgame would be the worst performance on this list by a country mile.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just so one note. It's just the Emperor in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
He's entertaining, but he's just evil.
Yeah.
Yes, he's great in Infinity War, but like that was my argument.
Do you not think it works though for that movie and the screen time that he has?
I loved that they made that choice, because that's Thanos to me. I didn't like that was one of my complaints initially in Infinity War that I've learned to love, and now I kind of have to accept that the MCU just changes things. Like, we're getting Silver Surfer. It's gonna be a woman. Like, it's not gonna be. Like,
I think only for a little bit of it.
I don't know.
I want to talk about something.
Yeah. It's just like the MCU like does shit like that all the fucking time. Where it's just like the Ant-Man. We got a second Ant-Man. Like they do that all the time.
And he killed Ant-Man. And he killed Kang.
Yeah,
Ant-Man did.
Yeah,
not killed, but like eliminated the threat of.
Yeah, like it's just the MCU. That's the most MCU thing in the world. So like, I guess it doesn't bother me anymore, but it did in the moment. I was like, I don't like that he's not fucking death. I don't like that he's not like a crazy psychopath that just is horny. Like that was the Thanos I grew up with, and so seeing him in Endgame go, I'm gonna shred this universe down to the last atom. I was like, oh,
he's my guy.
Yeah, but it isn't the nuanced performance or the acting performance of some of these others.
I understand that. Like, Infinity War, I would say if Endgame had that performance in Infinity War, he would definitely be my number 5. Like if in Endgame he got to also be
which I think is perfectly fair.
That's why I didn't argue Loki, by the way.
That's
why I didn't argue Loki, because Loki has become such
we mentioned Loki.
Because he's so multifaceted. He should be on there, but I think his performance in Avengers, he hadn't gotten to be that yet. So like his Avengers performance had to be the Shakespeare broad, which is fine, but it's
he's
not
great in that movie.
And he's good in the first Thor.
Yeah, he's great in Dark World, which I can't say a lot about.
Odin, when Odin's going into the Odin sleep and he's screaming at him, and
best part in Dark World by a lot. Like he's great in the Dark World.
him and
the
Chris,
relationship.
The relationship.
Like that's the strength of the Dark World.
That's why I like Dark World more than most people.
I've defended Dark World loudly, and it's not fun.
No, it's not.
It's still not my top, half of Marvel. Sure, but it's not.
It's not.
I would also say a fun, not in the top 5, but a fun villain doesn't get enough credit. If there's an honorable mention list, Black Mask and Birds of Prey is so good.
That is yes.
So
Ewan McGregor, right?
Yeah. He does not get enough credit for the joy that performance brings.
Yeah, I remember I've only seen that movie once, like when it came out in theaters, and I remember one of the only things I mainly remember about it is him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's so good.
He's having a time.
Yeah, he's having fun. He kind of the Homelander effect of like I just felt like unsure of what's happening.
He made Black Mask interesting, which I've never felt. Like I like Batman villains, but Black Mask wouldn't rank in my top 30.
Yes.
So Batman's such a like Gotham is so fascinating where they were like Birds of Prey, they're giving him Black Mask. My first thought was like when Guardians was announced, I was like, so a raccoon and a tree. Like I felt like and so when they announced Birds of Prey, I felt bad because like all these awesome female characters, did they have licensing issues? Why Black Mask? And then he showed up and I was like, I was wrong. Yeah. Like they did. So that one deserves some love because of the level of leap from the
surprise.
Source.
Yeah.
And the source material here to do that with it, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. I'll give you that every day of the week.
Everyone clink.
That was great, guys.
Nice.
Sorry I talk a lot.